Okay, so now that you've got the basic the basic overview of place bets, I just want to talk about how they are set up and the common phrases and common things you're going to hear that you need to know. You must know this stuff. So the first thing is, again, most people won't place the point itself because they have a pass line bet. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say is if someone wants to bet a certain one of the phrases that we're about to go over and they say including, that means that they want the point. If they don't say including, you're going to default that they do not want the point. Okay, so we're going to start with we're going to assume a $10 minimum bet table because that makes it easy. I used to teach this with 5, but you're just not going to find 5s around very much anymore. So 10 is almost a new $3 table in a lot of ways.
Oh, wow.
So $10 minimum bet table. So the first thing that tends to be the most common is across. When people say across, they want all the numbers, obviously except for the point. Now if they say across including, they want all 6 numbers. But if they say across, they want 5 numbers. Now, look at whatever the most common table minimum that you deal with at where you're going to be at and memorize that. Otherwise, just work with $10 for right now, okay? Because let's say the point is a 10. Well, what is across? First thing when somebody bets place bets, you take the largest check in your inside hand, smallest check in your outside hand. Okay, since I'm dealing with table minimum, that's red and white. But it could be green and red, it could be black and red, who knows. But largest check inside hand, and you always set them up away from box towards box. That is proper procedure. So if someone says, I want to cross, and they give me the money, it's 54 across. This, by the way, is why you need to learn to drop cut. 54 across. 10, 20, 30, plus 12 and 12. 54 across. If it's an outside point. What if it's an inside point? Well, if it's a 6 or 8 rather, because a 5 or 9 wouldn't make a difference. If it's a 6 or 8, now it's 52 across. So you need to memorize this because if somebody just says that, just throws that at you, you look like the dealers that are like, oh, what do you want? They either look like, 1, an idiot, or 2, they look like an asshole because they look like they're just trying to be a pedantic prick and make the player have to specifically tell them what they want when it's obvious as hell what they want. There could be a second bet that they want, but you're going to assume they just want 52 across. But you're going to repeat that because a good dealer repeats every bet. So when they throw you the money, you're going to take the money, you're going to put it over here, call that your garage, you're going to put it in your garage, outside of your stacks, okay? You clean your garage later. You're going to put that there, you're going to put it all there. And you're going to say 52 across. And you're going to go and set up 52 across. Leave that there. Because if you're box person, here's you say 52 across, and you decided you wanted to use these ones for that, so they look over and there's 50 bucks there, but 52 across, they're going to say, where the hell's the other $2? You got 52 across, why'd you only give me 50 bucks? So just leave it there. Leave it there. One alternative you can do, but only if you are actually one of those dealers that is doing their job properly and speaking. You can go 52 across using players white and then set it up. Okay. Now, what if they actually gave you the money? What if they gave you this? Said, I want to cross. What are you going to call out? 52 across using players' money. And then you're going to set it up. Why do you call it out that way? Your hands never go to your working stacks, ever. So, what if they say across and you go 52 across using players' money? Sir, you got to drop me $5. They cannot argue with you because at no time did you ever go to your stacks. So you couldn't have, dropped one of their checks. Anyway, struggling between chips and checks. couldn't have dropped one of their checks anywhere. So you used their money, you didn't mix it with anything else, so clearly they didn't give you enough. The worst thing, and I see this, I see dealers that the player will give them money and they'll actually go to their stacks and then go to set it up. Now we don't know. We don't know if they gave them enough or too little. What if I call right here, 54 across using players' money? Nobody's going to question the fact that I'm giving them change because I did not go to my stacks. I am using their money. So with the whites or the dollars, you can, of course, say going across using players' dollars, using players' white, blue, brown, whatever it may be in that casino. I will tell you that the best dealers don't. I don't. I never do. I won't use their dollars. It saves me zero extra time. None. None whatsoever. So,
it cost you time if you have to call it?
well, I mean, I'm putting it down, calling it out, and then I come into my stacks for the red. So it's not saving me any time not grabbing dollars while I'm at it. My hands are already there. So that's a cross. Next, you have outside. So if we're on a $10 minimum bet table and the point is a 4 or 5, a 9 or a 10, then we're looking at 30 outside. If the point is a 6 or an 8, we're looking at 40 outside. The outside numbers are the 4, 5, 9, and 10. Unless you're dealing on crapless craps. And even then, when you go beyond that, it's usually called the extremes. But 4, 5, 9, and 10 are your outside numbers. So it's either 40 or 30. Pretty easy. 40 or 30, period. Now these 4 numbers are your inside numbers. So you're either dealing with 32, 32 inside, 34 inside, or 44 inside. Now then you have other things that people can do, what we call downtown, which would be the 9 through the 4, not including the point, or if the point were in there, or uptown, which is the 5 through 10, not including the point, if the point is in there. But for the most part, inside, outside, and across are all you need to know. Anything else, most people are going to list it for you. If somebody wants the uptown, they're most likely going to give you money and say, I want the 5, 8, 9, and 10. They're not going to, most people aren't going to say, I want 42 uptown, because they don't know, they don't realize. And that could even be 54 uptown, depending. Except in this case, it's not uptown, it's across. So most players are going to list off the numbers. So the only ones you really need to make sure you memorize, inside, outside, and across. And you also need to memorize including. Now, the last one that some people may do is even numbers. Some people may do even numbers. So you'd be looking at 44 even, 32 even, 34 even. But most of the time they're going to chuck you money and just say even. So, but generally inside, outside, and across are what you most need to know. Again, largest check in your inside hand, smallest in your outside hand, and you go across. You go from furthest from the box towards the box as you set them up. Set up one player at a time. I don't care how many people do you in money. Just leave it in the cup. Set up one person at a time to completion. Finish off each person before you start on the next. Now, when I say you need to memorize these, you absolutely need to memorize them. If you are working on some place that you never do less than that the average that you work on is a $10 minimum bet table, then you need to know 54 across or 52 across. And you need to just be able to instinctively know which one it is. Someone says, how much is across? You need to just glance at the number and go 52, 54. What's inside? 32 inside. What's inside? 44 inside. You just need to instantly know. So you need to memorize all of the variations. 32 inside, 34 inside, 44 inside, 30 outside, 40 outside, 52 across, 54 across. Memorize that. If you work at a $15 minimum bet table, then you better be able to figure out 48 inside, 51 inside, or 66 inside instantaneously, or 81 across or 78 across instantaneously. I'm not going to map those out for you because they should be fairly obvious. If you never work with less than a $25 minimum bet table, then you better memorize 135 across or 130 across or 160 across including, if you're going to include the point, or 80 or 85 inside or 110 inside. You need to have the common bets at your fingertips. Now, one last thing with the setup. It's only going to apply to a 6 and 8. Let's say someone bets an $18 8. You notice how I have this offset slightly. That is called the cap. The cap on a 6 or 8 is the number of units inside the bet. Now, you can actually use that to help pay. Now, here's the thing. If someone gives me a $40 9, I should not set it up like this. The 9 does not have a cap. You will see a lot of dealers that'll set that up like that. The 9 does not have a cap. Nothing has a cap but the 6 or 8. Right? Now, I'm likely to set it up like that, very slightly angled, so I could see every single one of the chips just by glancing down. It just makes it easier to pay it properly. And on this, if you need to calculate out what it pays, well, every 5 pays 7, right? So what's 40 divided by 5? 8. What's 8 times 7? 56. This pays 56 bucks. Now, what about the 8? Well, what's the cap?
$3.
$3. What's 3 times 7?
21.
That pays $21. Because every 6 pays 7. The cap is the number of units inside the bet. Every unit pays $7. Now, here's another thing. There's actually 2 ways to utilize the cap. Okay? As long as there is a cap, and I'm going to show you the exceptions in a second. But $3 cap, because there's 3 units in there. Now, you could say 3 times 7, right? Or, how much is this bet? $18. What is 18 plus the cap? 18 pays 21. Either one will get you to that answer.
I like that. So it all just depends on how you calculate things anyways.
Now this is not a cap. It's what we call a hidden cap. So if I were to set this up, I would probably set it up this way. Sometimes by just sheer reflex, I will do that. But generally, I'm going to just angle it like I do other bets that don't have caps, because that is what we call a hidden cap. The cap is, it's a $54 6, so the cap is actually $9. There's 9 units of 6 in there. So I can't just take, I can't bite a chunk off of that green check so I can cap it off. So I have broken checks before. But, so that is, it's called a hidden cap, so you can't utilize it. Now, you must set, if there is a cap, set up the cap, because the cap is extremely important when we get to press moves that we're going to get to shortly. So that is your introduction to your place bets. Now, there is going to be a drill for those of you guys that are interested on our Patreon. When this video goes up, we're going to have a drill up on how to learn how to pay, how to practice paying place bets, because you must learn 1 through 10 units. Learn 1 through 10 units to the point that you don't even have to think about it. If I see a $45 9, I'm not going 45 divided by 5 times 7. I'm going 45. Oh, that pays 63. I don't even have to think about it. It just pays 63. I just know it pays 63. Okay? I know that pays 42. There's no thought behind it. I know it pays 42. 1 through 10 units, because from there you can then calculate any payout. I've got 75 bucks right there. Well, I already know 50 pays 70, because 5 pays 7, so 10 units is easy. 50 pays 70, and I know that 25 pays 35. I know what 5 means. I know 1 through 10 units. So there we go. It pays 105. This is actually one that I just instinctively know, just because it's a super, super, super common bet. What about this? Pays $840. Because 5 pays 7, right? Well, 500 will pay 700 then. 10 pays 14, so 100 pays 140. So that's 840. It's because they're so new, they're slippery. So learning 1 through 10, and by the way, do not practice this. Every student wants to practice this. They look, no offense, but they look like idiots, because you're not going to be messing with that. And if you actually get faster or quick with black before you are instinctive on red and green, it's not going to matter, because you're almost never going to deal, because you suck at the foundation, the red and green, so they're not going to trust you enough to put you on the table, especially when there's big action. 1 through 10 units. So, again, we will have a drill up for you guys. If you guys are interested, just check us out on our Patreon. Otherwise, we'll be moving on to the very next piece, which is all about paying place bets and what players are likely to do with them while you are paying.